Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934. It is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Fall in love with autumn with PJ's new seasonal lattes. Our pumpkin latte brings you all the flavors of a pumpkin pie with hints of cinnamon and nutmeg, like your favorite holiday dessert in a cup. And our s'mores latte with flavors of toasted marshmallows, warm milk chocolate, and graham cracker cinnamon is sure to bring back campfire memories. The PJ's Fall Seasonal Lattes, available at your local PJ's only for a limited time.
So here's the bottom line. Well, it's funny that you say that. Let me tell you. Good evening and welcome to Primetime Sports. I'm your host, Scott Alexander, and we have a fabulous, and I mean fabulous, show for you today. We have some great sports television, but we also have some great music as well. It's going to be fun. Hey, how about this weekend, though? We had a tale of two weekends, basically. Saturday, it was awful. It was rainy. It was windy. It was just bad all day. But Sunday, Monday, and today on Tuesday, it has been absolutely perfect. South Louisiana days. And for those of you down in New Orleans, well, I hope you had a chance this weekend to get down to the French Quarter Fest, because Sunday in particular was absolutely the best day I've seen in a long time. Great music, great food, and of course, like I just mentioned, the weather. But what about next weekend? I mean, Thursday in particular, do you know what's happening down here? The Zurich Classic starts on Thursday. And then the NFL Draft, well, that begins Thursday night. And the Saints, by the way, are picking number 27, so they'll have a first-round pick. And, oh, by the way, the Pels have a possible Game 6 at home, and I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably going to happen. And, oh, yeah, the Jazz Fest. You remember that thing? Well, that kicks off the next day for leading to 2 weeks of fun in the sun at the fairgrounds. Wow, New Orleans and South Louisiana will absolutely be rocking for the next few weeks, and I cannot wait. Hey, how about this? Speaking of those Pelicans, the NBA playoffs, as you already know, are in full swing. And unless you're living under a huge rock, the Pels, well, they got one of the biggest wins in franchise history, knocking off the Portland Trail Blazers on Saturday night, 97-95 on the road. Hey, and forget about a big three. How about this? AD, Drew, Rondo, and Nico, well, they played like they were a big four. That's how well they're playing right now together. AD took it to a complete another level. He willed that team to victory at the end. They were leading by 19. It got whittled down to 1, and they ended up pulling it out. But he had 35 points, 14 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 3 steals. And Drew Holiday, nothing short of fantastic, besides the 21 points and 7 rebounds. His last-minute steal on McCollum, the stop on Lillard, and the block on Connaughton, all in the last 45 seconds were nothing short of spectacular. And, hey, you hear about that thing called playoff Rondo? Well, it's a real thing. He played his 97th career postseason game, and he dished out 17 assists in the game on Saturday. Unbelievable. And the shooting of Nico Mirotic has been the big difference with his 4-3 Saturday. That gives him 24 in the last 6 games, and that big outside threat has been big for the Pelicans. Moving forward, hey, only 2 underdogs to win games this weekend were the Pels and the Indiana Pacers. That's right, the Game 1 games. Those are the only 2 road teams that won. The Pacers beat LeBron very convincingly in the Cavs, and they're going for Game 2. That's coming up. But also last night, the Heat, the only series that's currently tied at the moment, right as we speak, well, they beat Philadelphia after getting romped on Saturday. Hey, in other playoff news, well, there you go. That's all I know about NHL hockey, Stanley Cup. So moving forward, that was supposed to be a joke. Hey, by the way, LSU, huge baseball weekend. How about the Tigers? They swept the Tennessee Volunteers on Sunday. Boy, it took a miracle to get that third win. They were down 7-3 going into the 9th inning. Then it was 7-6, and Daniel Cabrera hit a 3-run home run, a walk-off. How about that? They win the game 9-7. Much-needed sweep. They're now 9-6 in the SEC. Speaking of the Tigers, LSU and Tulane play in New Orleans at Turchin Field, and that's going to be tomorrow night in New Orleans at Tulane. It is LSU Tulane. Speaking of Tulane, how about this? The 1998 undefeated football team. They're going to be honored at halftime at the Nichols game next season. How about that? That's great. 20-year anniversary. Terry Bowden, of course, the great head coach, and Sean King, the quarterback who ended up going to the pros. How about the LSU gymnastics? They're in the semifinals this weekend. 2-time national runner-up. Let's go for the third. Let's get this. Baby Cakes, well, last week I talked about their 4 straight wins. Now they've lost 7 straight road games in 1 week. That's 4 losses on walk-offs, 6 all together last year. Yeah, it's a tough road. But sad news to tell you about Hal Greer, one of my favorites of all time, Philadelphia 76ers all-time leading scorer over Barkley, over Iverson. He's a 10-time All-Star. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a top 50 player. He passed away. And our condolences and memory to his family and friends. It's a sad day when one of the greats passes away. Hey, we got a great show for you, though. I got Tanner Lee. I've got also Seth Dunlap, and I've also got Mike Detillier. It's going to be a fantastic show. So stay tuned right here. And I've got 5-star hero coming up next.
We're going to be changing our name to the New Orleans
504. Welcome to New Orleans. Mr. 5-star hero, welcome to New Orleans, the home of the Pelican. Yeah, and I'ma show them who we better than the Pelicans. Pelicans, 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 Pelicans. Welcome to New Orleans, home of the Pelican. City of New Orleans, let's show them who we better than. We better than the Rockets, I'm betting out of pocket. Take them to the lane and you know I'm not stopping. The fans just watch me, got me feeling cocky. The shots keep dropping, drop after dropping. Don't let the clock stop, I'm playing to the buzzer. Shooting half court and I ain't worried about nothing. I'm talking about talent, straight cause madness. NBA 2K, I think we got a classic. Coming from Katrina, we lost a couple people. Made it through the storm, now I'm bringing you the sequel. Basketball monster, whoever wants sponsor. My city of New Orleans, primetime artist. Shot like Jordan, watch how I cross them. Left, right, step to the side and I'm on them. Welcome to New Orleans, home of the Pelican. Yeah, and I'ma show them who we better than the Pelican. Pelican, 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 Pelican. Welcome to New Orleans, home of the Pelicans. Yeah, and I'ma show them who we better than the Pelicans. Pelicans, 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 Pelicans. Oh yeah, it's on now, cause it's game time. Coach said go get him, so I'm gon' shine. No look, bounce pass to the big man. And he gon' dunk so hard till his wrist sprain. Switch hands, quick, fast, lay it up, straight glass, everything good. If you looking at my wrist game, team full of veterans. Ain't no competitors, we on another level, sorry you can never measure up. Better look the schedule up, you don't want to play us, we tryna be the champ, put my city on the map. You better look the schedule up, you don't want to play us, we tryna be the champ, put my city on the map. Now welcome to New Orleans, home of the Pelican. Yeah, and I'ma show them who we better than the Pelican. Pelican, Pelican, Pelicans, 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 Pelicans. Welcome to New Orleans, home of the Pelicans. And I'ma show them who we better than the Pelicans. Pelicans, 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 Pelicans.
And welcome back to Primetime Sports. And I got to thank you, 5-star hero, with that great Pelicans anthem. Loved it. He gave us the Saints anthem right before the playoffs. And here we are with the Pelicans anthem with the Pels up 1-0. And I told you we have a great show. We're going to have Tanner Lee, the former Jesuit, Tulane, and, of course, Nebraska quarterback who's going to be in this year's draft. And then Mike Detillier is going to talk about all the Saints' needs and some of the great players in this draft. But right now, well, you know what day it is. It's Game 2, and it's Pels Day, and that's why I have my man Seth Dunlap. I've been on 3 roundtables, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on WWL with him and some other guests. Well, today, he's coming to my show, and we're going to have roundtable. Here he is, Seth Dunlap.
Hey, man, what's up?
Probably the other biggest basketball guy in the media here. We have a lot of them. I mean, I'm not saying we're the only ones, but we really do love it.
Oh man, it's my jam, man. Like from about March when you get the college basketball conference tournaments to now, man. This is my jam. Like right now through June, I'm happy. I'm a happy camper.
I don't know if you can see this sitting down, but Seth is every bit of 6'5" to 6'7".
6'7", yeah.
6'7", yeah. So he obviously played a little hoops himself, and yeah, there you can see it better. So you know the game, you love the game, you're passionate about the game.
Yeah, no, look, it is. I actually started in this business. Interesting. So you know Kevin Calabro,
sure,
the broadcaster for the Blazers.
Yes.
I was telling a story. I actually had him on my show last night.
Oh, you did get him?
I got him,
oh,
and
wow.
It was interesting. The whole reason I wanted to get into this business was because I listened to Kevin Calabro.
Sonics.
He used to do the Sonics.
Yes.
You know what else he used to do? I don't know if he used to play these games. You might be a little too old, Scott.
Old.
I don't know.
Yes.
But NBA Jam.
Old.
He voiced NBA Jam.
Too
You got to
old
know
for
NBA
it.
Jam, right?
Well,
Boom shakalaka. He's heating up.
I know all
He's on
about
fire.
it. Yeah, I got it.
He's the reason I wanted to get into this
Well,
job.
I used to do games in Seattle when he was there,
Yeah.
so we knew Kevin Calabro pretty well.
All time.
So that's your hero. That's the guy that kind of got you.
Yeah. Calabro, Dave Niehaus, if you remember him,
yeah.
Hall of Famer for the Mariners.
Sure.
But listen to those two guys when I was
Niehaus.
just a little young. Was the reason I wanted to get into this, but it was basketball. Peyton, Kemp, Hersey Hawkins.
Oh my goodness, what a great
Sleepy
team.
Sam Perkins.
Oh, Detlef Schrempf.
Yeah, Detlef
Schrempf.
Schrempf. Yeah, you know, man.
Come on, I know this team.
So,
Rick
point
Smith.
is, basketball, man,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad we've been talking about this so much this year. In this city, people are finally excited about it. Walking around French Quarter this week, and I think I was talking to our buddy Jake Madison about this too. We saw so many Pelicans shirts,
gear.
swag.
Our producer just bought one. He's wearing it in the truck. That's my man Will Hill. Hey, by the way, the Sonics. I'm old enough to remember the '79 championship team and still name the entire starting five and six-man downtown Freddie
Lenny
Brown.
Wilkins.
So Lenny Wilkins, player coach.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, moving forward, this Pelicans team. You and I have been passionate about this team, for a while now, and we've been talking pretty frequently on your show about them. But one guy I have to bring up is Alvin Gentry, because he's caught a lot of grief here the last 3 years. But I'm going to go ahead and say it: the job he's done, particularly since Boogie's gone down, when they were 27-21, and they ended up, 14 games over 500, so they went +8 with Boogie out, and having to change the offense. I think he deserves votes for Coach of the Year.
We should get votes. Yeah, if you actually watch some of the national shows, it looks like he's going to get votes from some of these vote givers. I actually want to go back to last year, though. And I was talking about Alvin Gentry, and I kind of felt like a lone wolf here, Scott. And I think you were here last year also, so I'm going to give you credit. So we were like
dual. I felt the same way.
We were dual wolves, I guess, last year. But at the end of last year, you had this, like it has been really since day one he was hired, the Fire Gentry crowd out there. But if you looked last season at the advanced analytics of this team, the Pelicans, post-Boogie Cousins trade, were in the top 3 in the league in getting their shooters open looks. They were in the bottom 3 of the league and actually knocking those looks down. Right? Is that Alvin? No, is that Alvin Gentry's fault?
So he's getting the looks, but they're not hitting the shots.
Yes, this is where you just gotta. Smart sports fans here, just dive a little bit deeper into this, and you'll see Alvin Gentry. His system is working, and we always talk about what's different with Boogie and without. Are they better? Are they without? No, they're not better, but they're different. Yeah. And you got to give Gentry credit again for modifying this team's offensive scheme, pace of play, faster, getting these guys looks. And maybe we'll talk about Dell a little bit better. I think Dell deserves a little credit for what he's done the last 2 years.
No question. By the way, a lot of people were jumping off the ship. They were lost 4 in a row, and then they went on this great win streak. They won the last 5 to end the season, and now they're on a 6-game win streak. So let's just jump right there. The opening game was Saturday night. A lot of anticipation, a lot of anxiety going into this game. How are they going to do on the road? The Blazers are a 2-1 favorite to win the series, mainly because of the home court. We don't need to get into the betting parts, but the nation pretty much perceived the Blazers as the winner. ESPN.com had 22 quote-unquote experts pick the series. Not one picked the New Orleans Pelicans. All 22 national people from ESPN picked the Blazers. That's why I put a tweet out that said, put all your money on the Pelicans because they're winning this. If 22 people say it, it can never happen.
I don't understand what was going on with some of these so-called experts across the country. Look, I love most of them. Far be it from me to cast stones, inside the fraternity here. But if you just looked at this series objectively, Scott, you know this. At worst, it was a pick'em. There is no way the Pelicans are 2-1 dogs in this series. And the biggest part of this, and I wrote about it yesterday, is AD, we know he's going to get his, right? He's where everything starts offensively and really defensively for this team. But the biggest piece for the Pelicans, and I truly mean this, is Drew Holiday.
He's amazing.
He is. And it's not just that he's amazing, but what he's doing defensively, and especially this season against Damian Lillard, is spectacular. So if you go back to the first 3 games that these teams played this season, Holiday was on Lillard, right? That was his job, like it's been all year long, him matching up against these stars. He held Damian Lillard to 36% shooting from the floor.
Yeah.
He held Lillard to 23% shooting from behind the line. Stats kind of boring to talk about, but the point is here, Jrue Holiday right now, with Kawhi Leonard injured, is the best defensive guard in the NBA, and it's not close. And I really mean this, Scott. I'm not being a homer here. You know me. I try to be objective about these things.
Yeah.
He is the most underrated player in the NBA, period.
I'm with you.
Most
After
underrated
watching
player
him the
right
last 3 months, offense and defense, he might be the best two-way guard with Kawhi Leonard out right now. And I have to say this also. That last minute, the 3 things he did, think about this last 45 seconds. He gets the huge steal on McCollum. Then he stops Lillard going down the lane where Lillard just killed us to the previous game. Anything he wanted to do, he slows him down. And then he blocks Connaughton's shot with 6 seconds left that would have cut the lead, and they would have been only down 1. So that last minute, he had a huge stop on Lillard. He had a steal, and he had a block, and they were all the biggest plays of the game.
No, a little LeBron-esque. Remember Game 7 of 2016?
Absolutely.
I mean, that was shades of LeBron there.
Yeah.
And remember last summer when Jrue was signed to this 5-year, $126 million deal, and the outpouring here from most fans was, what in the world are you doing giving Holiday? Yeah, outcry, out whatever. But that's a steal. You know what would happen if Jrue Holiday were a free agent this offseason? He's getting the max somewhere, period.
Yeah.
He would be getting the max right now. So this is where I want to, just for 1 second, talk about Dell.
Okay.
I think he gets criticism, deservedly so, for some of the things he did early in his tenure. But you look at the deals that he gave here, they're getting steals on some of these guys. Holiday's paid about $10 million less than he would have if he was this offseason. Rajon Rondo, less than $4 million a year.
Yeah.
What he did bringing in Mirotic.
17 assists on Saturday night. Enough said.
17. For what this team is given resource-wise, and we've talked about it at length, right? And not a team that's going to go into luxury tax, small market. Dell Demps, he's evolved as a general manager, and I think he's done just about as good of a job as you can with the restrictions here in place financially with this franchise, at least the last 2 years. And I think he deserves some credit for this. Gentry and Demps oft criticized, but right now, they're 2 of the biggest reasons the Pelicans are where they are right now.
NBA's crazy. You know, you have big leads and you lose them. The Pels, all I hear about during the season was the big leads they lost, like 18, 19, 20 points. They lost games. So they did, but they also came back from equal amount of games, losing 18, 19, but they almost had to happen on Saturday night. The Pels had built a 19-point lead, in the fourth quarter, and they also 10 minutes to go, and literally it was still 14 with 5 minutes to go. And you're thinking, wow, okay, this is easy. And all of a sudden, it gets whittled down to 1, and then they have to hold on with these big plays. But does that concern you at all? Is that just NBA?
Well, I think it was a game 1 nerves. You know, I was having my own meltdown. They were having a meltdown. I was having my own Twitter meltdown, man, where I had to step away.
Yeah, and you were in the studio, right?
Yeah, I was. Here's why this happened. Number 1, nerves. You watch Anthony Davis in the opening minutes of that game and the final couple of minutes, I think the pressure got to him. And he talked about the monkey off his back, and I think it will be off his back. We'll see those nerves. But there were some strange things happening with the Pelicans in that fourth quarter. We saw 7 possessions where they didn't get a shot off in the fourth quarter.
A shot off.
You can't do that in the playoffs and win. They were incredibly lucky for that. They didn't get Anthony Davis a touch, I think, on 4 of 5 possessions with less than 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
And Ian Clark actually, for as much as I'm going to criticize him here, he played well. I think he was 4 or 5 from the floor.
Got a lot of minutes, too.
He did get a lot of minutes, productive off the bench. But I'm sorry, you cannot run back-to-back ISO possessions for Ian Clark when you're in a 1-possession game with less than 2 minutes left. That can't happen. All these things added up, and you're going, the Pelicans are going to lose this game. And you know who saved it? Like you said, Jrue. They don't win this game without Jrue Holiday.
No, they don't. And they don't win it without Nico Mirotic either. He had 4 threes. He's on that roll. I think he's got 24 in the last 6 games. I'm going to say this. The big 4 now, I'm calling them that. I called that in the open, so I'm going to call it right now. And then we don't have Boogie because Rondo had the 17 assists. We know what Jrue did. AD, 35 points, 14 rebounds, 4 blocks, 3 steals. And then you have Nico just finally having the guy kind of doing the Peja Stojakovic role of hitting outside shots. But those guys played 39 to 41 minutes.
Yeah, they did.
And in the playoffs, sometimes you get a break because you got 3 days off, like they did this time until tonight. But I don't know if they can do that again tonight because they have to play 2 nights and a travel day. So what do you think about the minute allotment?
Well, I actually think the minute allotment, I kind of disagree with you just a little bit because I think the playoffs are a little bit different than the regular season because you're not going to get the back-to-backs.
Well, that's my point, but they only have 2 days this time as opposed to 3 last
Yes,
game.
but I think that they can manage these minutes.
Okay.
I think they're going to be able to manage these minutes with 2 days off, sometimes 3 days off, where it's not going to be as big of an issue with the back-to-backs or with the 3 games in 4 days like it was in the regular season. Bench is always big. You got to have productive bench minutes. We know that.
Nobody played more than 14 minutes other than obviously Ian Clark this past game. I'm thinking some of these guys are going to get a little more time. Your boy, the big guy, didn't even see the field.
Okafor?
Okafor didn't see the court, I mean.
Well, you got to have more productive minutes by Miller. Hill, my goodness. I mean, look, Solomon Hill, he's kind of the new Omer Osick.
Let's wait till next season, please.
Please. Chuck Diallo looked completely out of his league in that game. Those guys are going to have to, at least some of those guys, get more productive minutes here. But I do think they can manage the minutes here. This isn't going to be a deep team. We knew that, especially with Boogie out. Rajon Rondo, man. You talk about playoff Rondo being real. 17 assists, two turnovers in this game. He's something else. He's turning into one of the greatest playoff performers of all time from the point guard position.
He's got 97 playoff games now. 97. You know, Anthony Davis is playing in his 5th. I know he's a little younger, but he's got so much playoff experience, and he shows. He's one of the more cerebral players in the league, and it shows every time a big game. He's kind of the dude that, hey, I've been through all this before. I've got a championship. I'll pick my spots in the regular season, you know, like some of the great ones do towards the end of the year. Shaq certainly did it. Jordan was doing it. And he's now, when playoffs, the lights come on, he's a different player. Don't worry about scoring. Because remember somebody asked us on the radio about, hey, what should he score? We're like, zero. I said 0. He's got 6 points, but he got the 8 rebounds and the 17 assists. He is distributing and facilitating.
Yeah, and he did have some big buckets there where he drove when everybody thought he was going to pass, at least on the Blazers team. And Rondo gets a little bit of a bad rap around the league because of his, you used the word cerebral. That's exactly what he is. And it's not just on the court. It's in practice when he's holding these guys accountable. And you talk to some of the players who are Rondo guys, like Boogie Cousins, who helped bring him here. That's one of the reasons they love him, because he's that veteran guy that's going to hold these young players and young guards accountable. Pelicans needed that. For as good as Drew is this year, he wasn't ready to be in that leadership role. He wasn't that veteran that was going to hold these guys accountable. Rondo has come in here, and for as much as he's doing on the court, and you're going to see in the playoffs here, like I said, playoff Rondo is real. Scott, I really mean this. I think it's off the court, what he does behind the scenes in practice, holding these young guys accountable, that's just as important. He is critical to this team.
You want this knowledge each and every day? Well, you can, if you're out in New Orleans, you go tune in radio or one of those things. But right now, you go to 8:70 a.m. from 8 to 11. It's called double coverage, although right now it's single coverage, because Christian Garrick went to the daytime for the time being. So check him out. My man, Seth Dunlap, I appreciate you, bro. Here you go.
Thank you.
You got a little something to eat, you know.
Put this right here.
Put it right there.
Right.
Hey, I know. You know, radio. Sometimes you got to get some facilitators.
That's right.
All right, there he is, right there. I want to thank 5-star hero. He was fantastic as usual. We got football coming up now. Tanner Lee is coming up. He'll be in this year's NFL draft, and of course, Mike Detillier will tell you all about what the Saints need. Coming up next on Primetime Sports.
The owners of the Detillier Wine Bar on St. Charles Avenue have opened up their newest creation uptown on Maple Street called Chez Detillier, a new local wine bistro featuring a larger menu of small and large plates, a brighter atmosphere, and full table service. Additionally, patrons can enjoy a large patio out front as well as an extensive wine list offering selections from around the world. It's Chez Detillier, 7708 Maple Street between Carrollton and Broadway.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lane's the home of rock and roll.
Cayman is an all-natural alligator oil that treats anything concerning your skin from head to toe. Cayman oil is antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and helps with ailments, including burns, severe acne, athlete's foot and toe fungus. Cayman oil also helps with everyday issues such as healing cuts and scrapes, as well as spider and mosquito bites. It also does wonders quickly clearing up scars, dry scalp, psoriasis, and eczema. And it's made right here in Louisiana. More information is available online at CaymanOil.com or Amazon.com. Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. I hope you got your fill of the Pels talk right there with Seth Dunlap. And don't forget that game tonight is at 9:30 local, so stay up, get some rest, and I can't wait for game 2. Hey, by the way, Mike Detillier is going to tell us all about the draft. He's coming up next. But right now, we've got a guy that's in the draft, and he's been here for 2 other times. He came 2 years ago when he had just left Tulane to become Nebraska. He just announced that he was going to go to Nebraska. And then last year he had spring practice, and then he was named the starter, and he came in the week after. Well, this year, he's going into the NFL draft. He's a Jesuit grad. He played at Tulane, and he was Nebraska's quarterback this past season. He threw for over 3,000 yards and 23 touchdowns last year, and around 7,000 in his career, and about 40 touchdowns. His name is Tanner Lee. And after 3 years of college football, you ready for the NFL, my boy?
I am. I'm excited as ever. So.
I got to say this. How you been? I mean, listen, you here, like I said, 2 years ago when you just left Tulane. They had a new coach, and they went into a running system, the quarterback running style. And then last year you came, and you were on a high because you just got out of spring practice, and you were named the starter. Well, how are you doing this year?
I'm doing great. So it's been kind of a long time coming. So I've been looking forward to this, this time of my life for forever, really. It's been a big goal of mine, and just to kind of see how fast everything moves. Once New Year's hit, it was kind of, you get training for the combine, and then you go into Senior Bowl and Pro Day, and then workouts, and it's one thing after the other. So it moves quick. So just trying to enjoy it all.
Well, you took my next question, because I know you've had a huge, busy spring and winter before that. And first of all, you said you were training, but you obviously had to play in the Senior Bowl first, and then you trained more for the combine, and now you're getting ready for the draft. Kind of take people through, since once the season ended, what Tanner Lee's been doing.
Yeah, so if you're lucky enough to get invited to the combine, that was a huge honor.
Right.
And so I wanted to do whatever I could to get ready for that. So I went to LA to the Exos facility out there, and you basically just train all day. You get your meal preps, and your physical therapy, and your throwing coach and everything, and it's just the same routine every single day.
Sure.
And you get the best shape of your life for the biggest interview of your life. So it was a great opportunity to do that, and it worked out well. I think the combine went well. It was a great experience. You get to meet a ton of different coaches, do a bunch of different interviews.
What's the craziest question you got asked?
Oh, man.
I'm sure that's a question you've got many times.
They want to know everything. They want to know if you make your bed in the morning, how many times you brush your teeth. They want to know, what kind of beer you order when you go into a bar. They want to know just everything.
You say milk, right?
Yeah. Oh, what?
I mean, beer. What? Excuse me?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It was an interesting process for sure. The medical process is probably the most strenuous of it all. The combine is huge for the medical process. So you're getting pulled on a million different ways, getting deep into your history of anything that has ever nagged you or at any point. So it's a long deal.
And by the way, Senior Bowl week's kind of crazy, huh? I've done it in the TV side of it, and I've done it on the agent side of it. It's a scene. Kind of describe people what that's like. And also, you had some big-time quarterbacks that are big names that are supposed to go in the top 10, some in the top 5. Josh Allen was certainly there. Baker Mayfield was there. But what was that week like for you?
It was another great opportunity. So you get to be with the Broncos staff. You get to learn a little bit of offense from them. You get to hang out with guys like Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen, guys that are going, in the first round of this draft. So that was a great experience.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're trying to learn that playbook. You're doing interviews, and then you're also doing your team meetings, in the time in between that. So it's a full week. It's exhausting, but it's just one of those things that put your head down and work, but also try to enjoy the process as it's happening. And
then you have team workouts as well. I know the Lions came down and saw you in Lincoln, and I know that the Saints, you're a New Orleanian, obviously. You worked out with them at their facility. And then last week you're going to be on the show, but you call and tell me you have to go with the Falcons. I'm like, anybody but the Falcons. So tell me, let's start with that one. Yeah. Tell me what that was like going over there to Atlanta. Obviously they have a great quarterback in Matt Ryan and a great system. What was it like being there?
Just another exciting part of the process. You get to go out there and you meet the GMs and the head coaches and your position coach. You get put through, film for about an hour and a half. They put you on the board, testing your football IQ, and it's another way for them to get to know you. Hopefully if you're lucky enough to get a job with them, they want to know what kind of guy you are and what you're going to bring to their franchise and to their organization. So it was just a great process, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
I love hearing all this because, people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And another thing is picking the agent. I mean, because that's a big, big deal. I mean, this is a guy that's going to not only be negotiating for you, but he's going to kind of be like a big brother in a lot of ways. He's going to kind of be a confidant and try to show you the way. You picked a New Orleans guy, Rocky Arsenault, who I believe is a Holy Cross grad. I could be wrong on that. But tell me about how that process went and how you came to the conclusion of picking Rocky.
Yeah, I think it was one of the hardest decisions of this entire process, because you have a ton of great guys coming into your home and you know, selling themselves and, you know, what they can do for you, and you know, they have an impressive list of clients.
Let me trust me, it's just as tough for the agent.
It is tough.
Because he's going against 25,000 people.
It's tough. And so we got it narrowed down to, you know, a bunch of good guys. And I think it just came down to, you know, the relationship I had with Rocky, and you know, him being a local guy. It's somebody I really felt comfortable with. And he's been great for me so far. And he's just got a long list of, you know, connections. And he's been doing it for so long. You know, he was Marshall Falk and Eric Dickerson's agent. So he's been doing it for years and years. And he's got the experience. And, you know, he's connected with coaches and things like that, so it's been. I mean,
Marshall Falk and Eric Dickerson. When you talk about the greatest running backs of all time, they were in the conversation at least. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I mean, Marshall Falk certainly is the most multi-purpose back there was, and Eric Dickerson at one time was by far the greatest at one time. We'll see. Hey, the whole thing going forward here. What's it going to be like from now till draft day? You got 10 days. You know, you're perceived to be mid-round, maybe late round, maybe undrafted, because there's a lot of good quarterbacks out there. What goes on in your head?
You just trying to stay even keel. You know, I don't want to, you know, have my expectations anywhere exact. I just want to, you know, do my best to stay in shape for when my opportunity comes. So I'll be with my family on draft day, and you know, if I'm lucky enough to be drafted, I want to make sure that I'm still in the best shape and ready to, you know. When it's time to go to that team, you know, you want to perform your best when it's time to hit the mini camp.
Well, we all know the story. Tom Brady was the last pick of the 6th round. I think it was like 199 or something. You have the tools. What do they tell you? What do the player personnel guys tell you personally about, you know, what you have that you can offer the NFL?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. I think my skill set has always favored the NFL. You know, a strong arm. I got a lot of experience and some leadership skills that I think really helped me, you know, play quarterback. And I think that a lot of them are saying, you know, playing quarterback's a lot about fit. You want to go to the right team at the right time and the right offense where you fit, and you know, it gives you the best chance to, you know, be successful in the league and be successful for them.
All right, I'm going to talk about the season a little bit, because you threw for over 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns. Some people will harp on the 16 picks. But I'm going to say firsthand, I was there. I went to a game in Lincoln. And the offensive line, I'm not going to disparage them. They were young, and they were a little bit inexperienced. And from what I saw, you were running for your life a lot. You know, people look at interception, they don't realize it goes into a lot of things. It's, you know, you got to have everybody in sync. So what was that like? Because, you know, you had this kind of the same situation at Tulane, if not worse. You really have, I mean, you're like, please, Dallas Cowboys draft me, so I have some time to throw the football.
You know, what I will say about that is football is a hard game. You know, if anybody that's, you know, it's a hard sport to win and win consistently. So I think, you know, good plays, bad plays happen for a million different reasons. Sure. So you just got to try to do your best to minimize the bad plays, however they happen. So that was just kind of my focus. And then, you know, if a season's not going the right way, you know, you still got to be the leader and the captain of the team, and make sure everybody's working hard. And, you know, sometimes you got to work through adversity. And that's something I had to do a lot of in my career, and I think it's going to really bode well for me in the NFL.
Well, you have a relationship with Stanley Morgan Jr. Obviously, his dad was a great NFL player. He's a New Orleanian, went to St. Aug. I actually called some of his games in high school. Great receiver, but he was the first, if I'm not mistaken, the first Nebraska receiver to get 1,000 yards receiving in a season. If not, he was one of the only ones.
Right.
You had the Crescent City connection going up there in Lincoln, Nebraska. What was that like?
So he broke the single-season receiving record up there, and he had, I think, 10 or 11 touchdowns. And he'll probably do it again this year. I bet he has over 1,000 yards. I'm sure he'll have over 10 more touchdowns. He's going to have a great offense with Scott Frost up there. So that's going to be I'm excited to see what he's going to do, because he's a great kid. And we had a good connection, and I think he'll end up being one of the best receivers in, you know, Nebraska history.
I mean, this draft has some exciting quarterbacks. I mean, listen, Lamar Jackson is exciting. I mean, I don't know how it's going to go to the pro level, but this guy's electric, kind of a Michael Vick with more size. You've got guys like Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield. All these guys are projected to be first round. What are your thoughts when you look at these dudes?
It's an incredible draft for quarterbacks. I think the talent level is something that we haven't seen in a while as far as how many guys are that talented. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. For me, I think it's just going to be when you get to the NFL, it's a clean slate. So I'm looking forward to compete with these guys as long as I can, and hopefully we get to face each other here at some point.
After the draft, I mean, you have any indication right now of teams that might be? I know the Saints worked you out, correct?
Correct.
I know the Lions worked you out, and the Falcons. Anybody telling you maybe a direction you might be going?
It's hard to tell. That's one thing they try to keep from you is what exactly they're thinking. So it is tough. Like I said, don't want to put your expectations anywhere. But I think, like you said, a mid-round somewhere in there is what I'm certainly hoping for. I think is most realistic. So I'm just being grateful through the whole process.
Well, we have a pick for the ladies. I think this was your model pick over there at. Is this the one they threw out there?
We had to do a lot of that up there for sure. It's a big market.
It's a big market. Nebraska football, by the way, is a little different than Tulane.
Oh, yeah.
No offense to Tulane, because I love Tulane, but when you go in that stadium, and I was there on the field before the game because I worked it, and I'm looking straight up. It's like LSU in a lot of ways, but it's straight up with all red. Oh, yeah. It's pretty daunting.
It is. It's, I think, the best place in the world for college football, just as far as the game day tradition, the atmosphere. They bust us up to the front of the stadium, and there's thousands of fans waiting for us. And then we walk in, and then there's the tunnel walk where the fans are waiting for you.
It's cool, isn't it?
They sell out every game. They sell out every sport. I think it's, it's an incredible place.
It's the only game in town.
Exactly.
Hey, by the way, this was a yearly tradition, your third straight year, and after your rookie year, you'll be back again. And, hey, you got a friend from Nebraska in, a fullback is in town. Take him to Shay's Detillier, right there on Maple Street. You know who that is.
I do.
Yeah, right there. Y'all go have a little something on us. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Tanner Lee, it's hard not to root for this guy, and the more you get to know him, you realize what a great person he is inside and out. So good luck in the future. Hey, coming up next, we're going to have Mike Detillier. Speaking of the draft, we're going to cover all of it next right here on Primetime Sports. Welcome back to Primetime Sports, and I got to thank my man Tanner Lee for coming back for the third straight year. And also, hey, we had that big Pelicans report. Good luck to the Pels tonight, but right now, it's all Mike Detillier, and it's all NFL draft. We do this every year, and I get this book every single year in the mail, and it's the best day of the year. It's like Christmas. It's like New Year's. It's like 4th of July, all rolled up into one. If you don't have one of these and you like football, well, you're missing out. It is called the Mike Detillier Draft Report 2018. And here he is right here live and in person.
Thank you, Scott.
Once again, good to see you, my
Appreciate
friend.
it, buddy.
How are you?
I'm good.
Are you busy?
Yeah, but I've been through this clam bake before. This is 33 years for me.
Right.
So, I understand how to navigate the waters.
All right, everybody wants to know about the Saints real quick, okay? Well, first of all, before we get Saints, I want to know how you put this book together, because I sit there and I'll be on the treadmill and I'll be turning pages. I'm like, there are so many players and you're so in-depth with it, and you have not just numbers and facts, but you have predictions or outlooks or what they might be able to do on the next level. How do you do it?
It's a long process. I try to catch them as a high school player, and you compile that information. And so when I'm watching a guy play as a freshman, I've seen him play.
No doubt.
As a high school player, go to a lot of these camps and watch them all. And we got a ton of them here in Louisiana. You can watch a lot of these top high school players. And so that's sort of the start of the process, and then following them along the way. And also to the background. I've been already approached by 2 publishers. Would you want to write a genetics book? Because so much of this today is when you look back at mom, dad, uncle, aunt, cousins, has a lot of connected dots with it. And one day when I'll have free time, probably when I'm 90, I'll be able to do it.
90? All right. Let's hope you have free time before then. Hey, as far as the Saints go, Last year, I think they surprised a lot of people. They went 11-5, won a playoff game off of those 3 7-9 seasons. What is your general outlook for this team in the future coming up next year and beyond?
Well, you had the draft of the 2000s. There's been no better draft class than what you had a year ago. So that fueled your fire for the next few years now, and what you've been able to piece together in the last 2 drafts.
Yeah.
With Michael Thomas, Sheldon Rankins, with Alvin, Ryan Ramczyk, Lattimore, Marcus Williams. Those are your building blocks. The big thing now is, and this is a belief of mine, of why the NFC has pulled away from the AFC. One, established quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Where now you've seen all these AFC teams trying to maneuver to grab a quarterback
Sure.
in this draft, but they're better up front. Offensive, defensive line. Why did the Eagles win it all? They had their best offensive line in pro football.
Yeah, they did.
And their defensive line was really, really good.
Yep.
And so it's not the sexy position of quarterback, running back, receiver. It's all about up front. Remember, the Eagles now won the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback.
Yes, they did, yeah.
With a backup quarterback in this league. And so does the NFC continue that trend in this draft of trying to get better up front? Because the offseason, where did the Rams get better? On defense. And Ndamukong Suh, then they pick up Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib. The Packers, with Aaron Rodgers, you had Jimmy Graham, a player that can be a big-time performer for them. Also, they picked up Muhammad Wilkerson up front. You look at Minnesota, as good as they were. Upgrade quarterback, Sheldon Richardson. Again, it's piecing this together, quarterback position and winning in the trenches.
Well, I'm glad you went there because the Saints obviously do not need a quarterback, but they may have gotten a few upgrades, and I want your opinion on this. The guys they got in free agency, the Demario Davises, the Kirk Colemans, and the others. How do you think these new free agents will fit into the Saints next season?
I think they'll fit in well. I'm all about fit, and do you have a vision of how you're going to use a free agent? When you think about Demario Davis, he's going to step right in and be your starting middle linebacker for you. And he's been a quality player for both the Browns and the Jets. Patrick Robinson, your vision for him is at the nickel corner position. He can play outside if you need him, but really, right now, he's your nickel guy. Kurt Coleman, you've played against him twice now for the last few years. You understand in your 3 safety alignment what he's going to bring to the table. Smarts, always around the football, doesn't make a lot of mental mistakes, and he's a tough guy. You needed somebody to be a sort of swingman offensive lineman, Jermon Bushrod. End of his career, can play both guard and tackle. Tight end, huge void there. You bring in the veteran with Ben Watson. He's the bridge between what you have today and what you'll be playing with down the road. So I like all of them because all of them have a fit, and you have a vision on how you're going to use those free agents you bring in.
Yeah, there's 8 guys I think they signed as free agents. 2 of them are already Saints. I mean, Breeze and Okafor that I think are going to play a lot. 3 used to be Saints. We mentioned those, P-Rob, Robinson, obviously, Bushrod, and, of course, Ben Watson. And then the 3 new guys, and you touched on all those guys. So you got a nice little core of guys. You brought some back that you absolutely had to. You're going to take another chance on Okafor after the injury, but hopefully it'll all pan out. Now, the panacea last year was the NFL draft. This is the lifeblood of every team. The Saints didn't do so well for many years. You touched on it a couple years ago. They started improving that. Last year, they hit the absolute home run, one of the best drafts, not only in Saints history, some say maybe one of the best drafts in NFL history. What do you think history is going to look on this Saints draft from last season?
On last season?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the best of the 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, when you get that type impact, and you haven't had an offensive rookie of the year on the same team, you got to go back to 1967 with the Lions. That's 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a long time when you've had a Lynn Barney and Mel Farr on the same team.
Yep.
So it was a part of your building process on what you're trying to do. Now my thing is to add the other pieces to the puzzle. And I think what you'd love to do is to get an impact player up front along the defensive line. Or, and this may surprise some people, I came close to have them pick a cornerback. Because you got to match up in this league.
Yeah.
You got to be able to have.
You can't have enough great corners.
You can't have enough corners, good ones. Lattimore's a great one. But, those are few and far between. You got to be able to match up because you're seeing so much 3-4 wide receiver alignment. And that's where the hybrid player comes in as a pass rusher, also in the coverage part of the game.
All right, give me an edge rusher and give me a cornerback that you love.
Well, Harold Landry's a guy I really like. And he had a terrific junior season at Boston College. Hurt his ankle early last year, was not quite the same player. Could play with his hand in the dirt, also play stand-up, move him around. One thing I know about Landry, if he comes to the Saints, he'll never see double-team action again, as long as Cameron Jordan's on the other side.
Exactly.
So you've got a guy who's an edge rusher, who can be an impact player. And what I love about him, he reminds me, because of his speed and his use of his hands, of Pat Swilling.
Yes.
He came out of Georgia Tech.
Yep.
A very similar type player.
I love that. You're right.
The guy I almost had going to the Saints, and it came close, is Mike Hughes from Central Florida.
Cornerback, yes.
Mike started at North Carolina, had a little trouble, left there, went to Garden City Community College, ends up at Central Florida, was a dominating cover corner last year. He's about 5'10", maybe a little bit bigger, but not a big cover corner, but great mirror skills, finds the football quickly in flight, 4 interceptions last year, double-digit deflections, but he brings another element to the table. He can return punts and kicks, and that's something. As a kickoff return man, you're not getting a lot of opportunities as a punt return guy to flip the field.
Yes.
He averaged over 15 yards a punt return last year
Yes.
with Central Florida. My thing is, who's coaching special teams for the teams that are playing Central Florida?
Exactly.
Why are you continually kicking it to him?
Even Auburn in the bowl.
Yeah, and they kicked it to him.
know.
So I think those are 2 names to keep in mind. You may have to move up a little bit to assure yourself of Landry, but my thing is, if he's not there, a Jari Alexander from Louisville or Mike Hughes from Central Florida, I think are guys to keep in mind.
All right. We all know we've been missing that big tight end ever since Jimmy Graham left. Ben Watson had a pretty nice year a few years back. Obviously, Fleener has not worked out. Tight end is a position that the Saints need. Will they address it in the draft to go along with Watson and Josh Hill, et cetera?
I think somewhere in the draft. But I can't tell you exactly where, but I have 4 tight ends.
Yeah.
All second-round pick grades. And a 5th one who's right on the verge of it.
Well, they're not scared to trade up to the second round. They've done stuff like this before.
And that may be a deal that if one of them starts to tumble, like we saw with Alvin Kamara a year ago, to try to trade up for that guy, give him a future pick. When you got a 39-year-old quarterback, your future is today. You got to win now. And also, too, the NFC has gotten much, much tougher in the offseason. So you got to be able to combat that particular part. What's interesting is the variety of tight ends, the 5 guys that can go in round 2 from Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, tell me about him.
Well,
I saw film of him. I mean, this dude catches everything unless he's just got the greatest highlight film. Just like that.
No, he's got sure hands. He's like a big wide receiver playing tight end.
Right.
They've used him flexed out. They used him. And he's a pretty good inside blocker, but he's a terrific one-on-one guy to get open downfield, catches the ball clean. It's amazing the numbers he put up at South Dakota State. In this offense, he would be catching 65, 75 passes a year. That's how good of a player he is.
I know you like Mark Andrews. I know you like Hayden Hurst and some others. Talk about that.
Yeah, Mark is a guy that, he works so well with Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
I mean, they were on the same page. A big, thickly built guy. He hits the spot, bang. Got great rapport with their quarterback. So he would fit in tremendously well here with the Saints, and he's a big target over the middle. You look at Mike Gesicki. From Penn State.
Yeah.
He's never thrown a real good block in his life. He's a getting-away guy, but he's
9 touchdown catches this year.
But he knows how to get open, and he's a big target.
Yeah.
Again, he's a king-size receiver playing tight end, and then Hayden Hurst from South Carolina, former baseball player. And I look at a lot of that.
Pro baseball player, too.
And my thing about it is when you play baseball at that level, you know how to do one thing. You got great eye-hand coordination. And he catches the ball cleanly, good athlete, knows how to find that sweet spot. And the sleeper, Ian Thomas from Indiana, also a really good athlete who didn't put up the numbers, but I'm telling you, in the right scheme, he could be a really good NFL player.
Got a couple sleepers for you too.
All right.
Cam Serenay and Christopher Herndon from Miami. Serenay, a Bayou kind of relative up there in Wake Forest.
Well, with that last name, Serenay,
Serenay.
you know damn well where he came. We got them.
It looks like Serigny.
No, but it's Serenay.
Serenay.
He's got a lot of relatives in the Belle Chase area, New Orleans area. Broke all the records, ACC records for tight ends for receptions there. He reminds me a lot of David Thomas, who was here with the Saints. Not a real tall tight end, but gets open, finds the crease spot, will give you a lot of effort as a blocker. Really smart player. With Herndon, he was a guy that hurt his knee late.
Yeah.
So he didn't go through all these practices, but he is another guy, knows how to get open, king-size receiver, playing tight end.
And I also like Will Dissly, but we'll move forward.
Well, Will's a blocker. Yeah. You know, asking him to catch a lot of catches.
He had a few. But all right, hey, let's do this. LSU guys, I have to start there. We're going to talk a little bit LSU and Tulane. You got some big ones at the top. Nobody helped their status more than DJ Chark at the Combine. What about Chark and Key? Where do you think those guys are going to be?
With DJ, his senior year meant everything to him. I mean, a lot of people look at him, they don't realize he's almost 6'3". He's a 220-pound receiver, 4.4 speed. The big question mark when I watched DJ play this year was he never caught the ball real clean. It was always sort of a bobble or a double clutch of a catch. You watched him at the Combine. Pow! Boom. Out front with his hands. Able to catch the football. Great athlete. He's going to have a huge pro career because he can work the intermediate part of the game. LSU didn't have that. Either the pass was real short or real long. Nothing in between. Etling didn't throw that pass well.
No.
DJ's going to end up being a real early second-round pick.
And nobody's had a roller coaster quite like Arden Key. The enigmatic Arden Key is a little bit polarizing for the off-the-field stuff. His second season wasn't nearly like that one he had the season before. I don't know if it maybe his third season, but the one 2 years ago was fantastic. Last year, not quite so much. Where do pro scouts and front office guys see him going in the draft?
Scott, it's the most difficult position to find today. Pass rusher.
Yes.
Defensive end, outside linebacker. They're the hardest people to find. I can find you a quarterback before I can find you a pass rusher.
Right.
7-on-7's changed the world. And so those 6'3" guys in high school, man, I want to catch the ball. I don't want to be rushing the quarterback. Arden Key last year on everybody's board was a top 5 overall pick. But then he had the 2017 season of he had issues off the field. Then he has a shoulder injury that he has to get operated on. Comes in heavy, doesn't play well early. Then you watch him against Ole Miss and Alabama. He played really well. Then he hurts the knee, hurts the finger, and he disappears. So where are you going to put him at? And I think what hurts him more than anything is you're linked in the chain with other guys that have had other issues at a similar position. Off the field issues, Aldon Smith, Reuben Foster.
Yep.
And am I going to slide that folder to my owner and say we're going to pick this guy in round
Good
one?
Point.
He falls into the second round. He's a premier pass rusher. The trust factor is going to keep him out of round one.
Quickly, with Geis and Will Clapp and Dante Jackson, how many LSU guys will be drafted? Because they got potential maybe up to 10. I don't know.
I think probably 7.
7, okay.
And you'll probably have 2 in round one.
How about Tulane? We got Perry Nickerson, who seems like he's been around since the Bush administration. He's been around quite a while. He's played some great football. And then you got that sleeper, Ade Arune. What do you think about the 2 Green Wave guys?
I'll go with Perry first. Just a tremendous athlete, fastest time at the Combine, or tied for it. When you watch him play, he was on an island a lot. Great ball skills. And he's not a big guy, so he's perfect for that slot cover corner.
Yeah.
Which plays 70% of the time. With Aruna, man, you got a guy who looks the part.
Yeah,
has not put up great numbers, but tremendous athlete, rough around the edges as a technician. He will not get out of round 4. He's that good of a player, and somebody's going to say, you know what? I don't have a pass rusher. I'm willing to take a chance on him because I think somewhere down the line, he's going to be a really good player.
Last thing, real quick. Lake Charles native, Trey Quinn, went to LSU. 8 catches his second year. Goes to SMU, has 114 catches, 113 catches, whatever, 1,300 yards. He's been unbelievable. Will he get drafted?
Yeah, I think he's a middle-round pick, knows how to get open, sure-handed, another baseball player, turned football player. And he's underrated as an athlete, of how good of an athlete he is. And so Scotty Sanders, an old friend of mine, tremendous baseball player, he told me, I've coached for almost 20 years. He's the best athlete I've ever coached.
Wow.
And that's saying something. He ends up being a middle-round pick. He'd be a great fit with the Saints.
I know who's not a middle-round pick. My man right here. First rounder, Mike Detillier. Come get this book. Please check it out. What website can I get this on?
SaintsReport.com, MikeDetillier.com.
There you go. And, hey, I know you have a bunch of these, but
Thank you,
have
brother.
another.
Always enjoy it.
Love you, bro.
Thank you, Scott.
I truly
Appreciate
do.
it.
Mike Detillier is the very best in this business. Certainly the best in the Deep South we got right here, and he's one of ours right here in the Bayou. Hey, got to thank everybody. Tanner Lee, of course, Seth Dunlap, and my man Mike Detillier. It's been a fun show. Pelicans tonight. Get after it. Pelicans game 2. It's going to be tough. It's hard to win game 2 after you won game 1, but we'll see. Got to thank Will Hill, the Redhead Tsunami, Anthony, Naila, and everybody at LAE and CST. I appreciate you all so much. We'll see you next week.